Welcome to Explosive Enterprises. Today, I want to highlight a piece of equipment that I've greatly enjoyed and feel deserves more publicity than it's gotten. I'm not talking about the APS or Hakkotsu Thunder B, these are pretty well known. Rather, if you read the title, you know I mean the Brey-Tac blank fire conversion kit for the Thunder B. This is a clever system, and while it's not cheap, it solves a bunch of problems with the Thunder B and makes it into a reliable and effective blank fire grenade. So to start with, what's wrong with the Thunder B? If you're not familiar with it, this design uses CO2 cartridges and single-use plastic shells. To load one, simply pull back the striker, use the safety slot so the pin can hold it, then pull down the spoon and lock it in place with the pin. Insert a CO2 capsule into the bottom, seal it up, and thread on the shell. When the spoon is released, the striker immediately punctures the CO2 cartridge and the shell pressurizes until it bursts, which usually takes 4 to 5 seconds. Simple concept, but there are a couple of issues with the system. First, some brands of CO2 have thicker caps than others, which means you can get duds that fail to pierce the capsule. One common fix is to put a coin underneath the capsule to shim it up a bit, and this does help, but the striker will still dull over time and become less reliable. Second, the threading for the shell is not quite airtight, and particularly in colder weather, this can result in the shell failing to develop enough pressure to rupture. One fix is to wrap the threading with Teflon tape, but needing to do this every time it's reloaded takes a while. Third, it does take a few seconds for the grenade to go off, so it can easily bounce somewhere harmless before it goes off or give the target time to get behind hard cover. And fourth, even when the system is working perfectly, between the shell and the CO2 capsule it's $3 or $4 per throw. As well, the shells are bulky, so carrying reloads to swap on the field takes up a lot of gear space. The Brey-Tac conversion solves all of these problems in one fell swoop, along with improving a few other things too, so let's walk through installation. First, I disassemble and discard most of the Thunder B. I've already screwed the new firing pin into the new striker, but not fully, as the new firing pin's protrusion requires some tuning. I slot it into the head, and hold the striker firmly while I thread in the countersunk top screw. I thread the collar back onto the internal cylinder, drop in the blank fire adapter, and load a single 9mm pack cartridge into it. Once again verifying that the hammer is locked in the safe position, I slowly and carefully screw the cylinder into the top while watching the firing pin. I want to see the firing pin rise to the top when the cylinder is fully tightened, meaning that it's making contact with the primer, but still with a little bit of wiggle room so that I know the firing pin isn't digging into the primer. If the striker doesn't quite reach the top, then I'll extend the firing pin a bit, and if it maxes out too early, then I'll just shorten the firing pin a bit, but I can't actually show you this because I've gone and glued the firing pin in place at the right depth. I want to mention now that earlier conversion kits had a shorter striker body and worked well with 38 special blanks, while these newer ones are too long for 38s but work great with 9mm pack like this. Now that the striker assembly is tuned, the only thing remaining is to install the sleeve. I just line up the magnet block with the spoon and tighten all 4 grub screws that secure it to the inner cylinder. And that's it. So if you haven't gathered how this works, there's a magnet in the body that keeps the spoon secure after the pin is pulled. When the grenade hits a solid object, the jolt dislodges the spoon, releasing the hammer and instantly triggering the blank. Instead of a time delay, this is now an impact grenade, going off as soon as it hits the ground or a hard surface. And I have to say, this works far better than I initially thought it would. Most blank fire grenades we've used have struggled to reliably trigger on soft surfaces like grass, but the Brey-Tac has gone off every time. At the same time, it won't go off just from waving it around or a casual impact, it has to be dropped or thrown. Because it's an impact grenade, the target has no chance to get out of the way, and it will go off wherever it's thrown, making it great for clearing rooms. It's slimmer than the plastic Thunder B cores, so fits in flashbang pouches like these unobtainium gear ones, rather than needing bulkier smoke grenade pouches. Since it uses 9mm pack blanks, it costs about 50 cents per throw, and carrying spares is as easy as bringing a box or a pocket full of blanks. In fact, let's show just how quick it is to reload in the field. Not bad at all. The only problem that we've run into relates to the APS parts used as the basis for the conversion. Because the spoon is made from very soft steel, it can distort to the point where it releases the hammer once hand pressure is released, and then... Not ideal, right? Fortunately, the spoon can be bent back into shape, or reinforced by taping a piece of steel bar to it, or just replaced entirely for cheap. But that's been the only problem, and otherwise the grenade just works. Buy some spare cotter pins and keyrings, and we'll put some links to those in the description, and you're good to go. Now the grenade is sold both as a conversion kit or as a full package. Compared to regular Thunder Bs, it will pay for itself over time just by not having to buy relatively expensive consumables, plus it has a bunch of advantages as mentioned earlier. Compared to other blank fire grenades, it isn't really any cheaper, but I think the Brey-Tac has 3 things going for it. First, it really is rock solid reliable even outdoors, and while there are other impact grenades out there that will go off on grass, I've yet to see one as sensitive as this. Second, it actually looks like a grenade with a pin and spoon and no gaudy anodizing. And third, if you go with the conversion option, it can be reverted to a standard Thunder B in just a couple of minutes, keeping it usable at fields where blank fire is not permitted. Those 3 factors make this an exceptionally versatile system, usable anywhere that sound grenades of any sort are allowed. For a fraction of the cost of another shiny rifle you don't really need, you too can experience the unique pleasure of hearing airsofters bitch about pay to win because you gave them the $75 razzle-dazzle. Ultimately, while a sound grenade system probably won't radically transform your airsoft experience, it is a very useful addition to the arsenal, and the Brey-Tac Thunder B conversion has proven an affordable and effective product. Now if you'd like to support our channel, please consider checking out our merch store in the description. And as always, thanks for watching.